Hello, my name is Dr. Eric Hollander, and I'm here at the Spectrum Neuroscience Research Institute. And today I'm very pleased to have with me Janet Grillo, who is an acclaimed filmmaker, and we're going to be entering into a discussion relating to two of the films that Janet has made, Fly Away and Jack of Red Hearts. So one of the goals here at the Spectrum Neuroscience Research Institute is to begin a dialogue and bring people who are experts in different disciplines together really to begin a discussion on issues around autism spectrum disorder or other neurodevelopmental disorders or other mental health issues as well, and to bring people from very different walks of life who have a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge that come at some of the issues that are really central to these conditions. And so I'm particularly pleased to have you today because I had the opportunity to watch both of these movies, so both Fly Away and Jack of Red Hearts. They both deal with girls, so young girls or women who have autism spectrum disorder. That's a particularly neglected area, I would say, is the presentation of autism spectrum disorders in women, and it also brings up a number of very important issues as it relates to how families deal with raising a child who has difficulties relating to autism.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges that can come up in terms of relationships and parenting, and some of the struggles around life issues as well. So I would first like to say that Janet Grillo, in addition to being the filmmaker for Fly Away and Jack of the Red Hearts, is also an assistant arts professor at the Tisch School of the Arts and at the Canberra Institute of Film and Television.
Which is at New York University, so it's NYU Film School.
Okay. Well,
another way to put it.
Okay.
A lot of fancy.
So let me first ask you a general question. Why did you make these movies?
Well, I am the mother of a child on the spectrum of autism, and so these are both personal to me. They're my experience, they come out of the community, and I was compelled to make them because I had seen a lot of films and television programs that were portraying kids on the spectrum, and almost none of them came from within the community. There were people who were certainly sympathetic to our kids and our families, but definitely telling it from the outside in, and I felt a need to share our story from the inside out. And also because many of the portrayals that I've seen are of people who used to be called Asperger's, although that's no longer technically a diagnosis. There's an Asperger type personality, and those are easier to access for most actors and directors because those are highly verbal people and they can be more easily dramatized. The less verbal or nonverbal person on the spectrum is a lot harder to enter. And I felt that as somebody who's from the community, I had that opportunity and that ability to understand and to guide performances and to really fully depict and dramatize what this experience is. So,
well, what are some of the portrayals that have been in the media that you think in particular don't really ring true? And then what were you striving for in terms of the presentations of these characters?
Well, it isn't even so much that they don't ring true as that they're showing a very small portion. I mean, as we know statistically, the percentage of people on the spectrum being so wide, the percentage of people who are highly intellectually gifted who can, go off to Silicon Valley and create an app is very small in proportion to the amount of people who are impacted. And the fact is that for the great majority of people on the spectrum of autism, it is a lifelong disability. It's not just differently abled, it is disabled. These are people who cannot function independently, many of whom are nonverbal, some who have severe intellectual disabilities and cognitive disabilities, and this is a big need. So if the general society through general media only sees, kind of quirky geniuses, they're not going to understand that our community has a tremendous need for ongoing support, because kids on the spectrum of autism will live long lives, you know, their lifespan is as long as anybody else's.
Right.
They will outlive their parents, they will outlive their caregivers, and then what happens?
Uh-huh.
And so we need society at large to step forward compassionately to provide services and resources to make a space in their hearts as well as their communities, as well as their tax funds for our kids and families. And if they don't understand this is a serious problem, how can we ask that of them if they keep thinking that we're all quirky geniuses?
Right.
So
now tell me a little about the individual who's portrayed in Jack of the Red Heart. So it's a girl with autism spectrum disorder. Describe her a little bit and tell us who played that role as well.
Right. So there are two films, Fly Away, which I wrote and directed, and Jack of the Red Hearts I actually did not write, but directed. And the screenwriter of Jack of the Red Hearts approached me after seeing Fly Away because there's such a parallel. And the screenwriter of Jack of the Red Hearts is the aunt of basically nonverbal girl on the spectrum. And so she she wrote her niece and her brother and sister-in-law and the family dynamic and the strain that she saw, and also the tremendous amount of love and outpouring and dedication. And it was a very poignant story. And I'll tell you is that when I read the script, I didn't know what her family story was, but I responded immediately, and my first thought was, whoever wrote this knows. This is definitely authentic.
Glory, honey, come on. It's time for sleep. Glory, come on, sweetie pie. It's time for sleep. No, it's time for sleep. Come on, come on. Just do it for your mommy. Come on, sweetie, it's okay. She's down.
I can't keep on moving these balances around. It's...
Just think about all the money we saved, never having help before, me doing everything myself.
I'm sorry. I mean, that makes it sound like I don't do anything. And I happen to be... I work, okay?
What the hell do you think I do all day? Huh? Getting my nails done, talk about boys.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not like I dreamt about being an IT guy.
But you're out in the world.
I'm out in the world? I work in a cubicle, Kay. A cubicle.
A cubicle?
Yeah.
Cubicle sounds heavenly.
Really?
You have no idea what I do all day.
No, I don't have any idea what you do all day because you don't tell me what you do all day. I mean, are we gluten-free this week? Yes, we're gluten-free this week. Well, why the hell is she having sun chips?
Because sometimes you just have to avoid a total meltdown. I've managed to get Glory an interview at this amazing musical. It's a long shot, because frankly, well, but her public school doesn't challenge her enough, or at all. So the interview's in a month. Well, a little more than a month. Does that sound like a good short-term goal?
Yeah.
Ta-da! Your Bible. I tried to write everything down, but it's impossible. You're just gonna have to pay attention and follow me around. You're gonna keep a record of everything in this book. Oh, diet, very important. Casein-free, gluten-free. We've had some issues. Let's just say if your kid goes for almost 2 weeks without a bowel movement, it's time to go to the ER for a poop extraction. Good times. Let's get her in the car. Hi. Hi, this is Donna.
Hi, Donna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You got this. You know what to do. Oh. Go ahead. Oh, Glory's logbook. Right. Here, forgot. Yeah.
Over here's fine.
Yeah, and that's Glory's.
Actually, I've got this.
Come on, Glory. Let's go. Well, I never thought I'd have to repeat the 4th grade again.
I bet.
So how's this work?
The first rule is we're not here to talk to each other.
Okay, so under the chauffeur tab, you'll see how to catch a ride from school to therapy with paratransit. I've scheduled for every Tuesday and Friday. Hi, this is Donna.
Hi.
Cam's speech and language therapist. Hey, this is Donna. Matt, occupational therapist. That kid has to wear those all the time. He can hear water running through pipes. Lots of these kids have sensory issues. Autism pretty much sucks. Am I talking too much? I haven't had anyone to talk to in years. This is fun.
Kay, hey, how are you?
Oh, Elaine, hi.
Hi, Glory.
We should go through this. Glory, what do you say?
Hi, Donna.
This is Donna, Glory's new companion.
Glory, you got a new friend.
So how's Danny? How's everything?
Oh, he's great. We mainstreamed him last year. Well, he's still brushing up on some articulation with
He's,
Pam, but
he's
he never
totally
really...
recovered.
Well, he'll be furious if I'm not here to pick him up on time, but that's most kids for you. Gotta run.
Recovered? Recovered. I mean, I'm happy for them, I am. But they did nothing, and he's better. And we tried everything, and... I love you, girlie. I'd kill for you. Glory?
Often.
Say it better?
Elephant.
Good job, girlie. What's your favorite? Red one? Oh, okay, one more. She can do it when she's motivated. Oh, and don't overdo it with the jelly beans. Just enough to keep her attention. Thanks to the ABA, we can get her attention at all.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to the ABA that we are so in debt. $150,000.
Oh my gosh.
Ouch.
Thanks. That's wow.
You try the red one. It's actually Glory's favorite. Mine too. It's really good.
Okay.
Mommy loves you, okay? Eyes? Eyes? Mommy's eyes?
Yeah.
You'll be good.
Be good.
Yes. Good too. At least I'm gonna try. This will help. Here. Call me, okay? Anything at all that just...
Of course, yeah.
And work on our teams.
Okay.
Or...
Don't worry, just go already. We're cool. Go! What's wrong with you? Hey, okay, here's the deal. You don't ride on me, I don't ride on you. Got it? Let's go. Come on, Glory. Look, the bus is here. Oh, shit, I'm on the short bus. All right. That's gross. What's wrong with you? Don't move, all right? What is the shape of the dime? What is the shape of the dime? Glory? What is the shape of the No, 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 no. What is the shape of the dime? Okay, just stay. Okay, don't move. I'm gonna get you down, okay? Don't move. Don't move, okay? Glory, just stay where you are, all right?
There's some sick parties at state.
We can't party, though. You're gonna know we're 17. Think things through, man. Who's gonna buy us the liquor in the first place?
2 words. Don.
Oh my God. Dude, stop the car.
Just stay where...
Are you seeing this?
Oh my God, man.
What is the shape? The shape, time, shape.
Nice going. I got her.
Sorry.
You missed the,
I didn't see the ladder.
bright yellow ladder?
I didn't see it, but...
It's all right.
We're
Happens
just
to the best of us.
taking a break. Jeez, God.
She doesn't get how to move backwards. She never learned to crawl. She can't alternate her limbs like that. But you knew that, right? Hello. Hey.
Shape.
Hey.
Shape.
Hey.
Shape is
What are you
a
doing up here?
diamond. Shape is a
Where?
diamond.
You can't be up there, sweetie.
Diamond.
We gotta get down, okay? You ready, Glow? Come on. I'll walk. You've done this a million times. Come on, Glow. Come on. I'll let you. 1 foot, 2 foot. Here we go.
Okay, Glory. No more free jelly beans. No more cigarette breaks. Your ass is mine now, okay? Glory, no, Glory, sit. Glory, sit. Ow! Ow! Stop! Hey, let's stop. That was a good stop. That was a good stop. Okay, stay. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm gonna take your cards. I'm taking these back. You'll get them back after. It's okay. It's okay. Just take your spoon. Try with a spoon. Try with a spoon. No, 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 no. It's okay. Hey, try another one. No, don't freak out. Glory, it's okay. Come on. Hey, no, 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 no. No. Glory, hey, calm down. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you, okay? Come on, let go. Come here. It's okay. Okay? Just take a break. All right. Good. I'm gonna try this with a spoon. We'll do it together, okay? In your mouth. Good time. Come on. No. All right, come on. They're sweet potatoes. They taste good. No. Ow! 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 Oh! Oh! Come here. Come on.
Glory, I'm home.
We're in here. Hi.
There you are.
We're out of yams. Look, improvement. She's sitting down, just eating with her spoon.
Show mommy, honey.
Glory, eat. Eat. Glory, eat. 25.
How?
Better be cleaned up.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, girlie. Thank you. Oh, finally. What else can you do, girlie, huh?
As you mentioned, in both movies, they're females versus males, and that's a smaller percentage of people on the spectrum are male or female.
Right.
But it's still a very significant number of people.
Yeah, I do think that girls in general and young women are generally overlooked when people think about autism.
Yeah. And they're, certain ways more vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
It's more frightening to think about the future of a disabled female than it is.
In what way? What makes them particularly vulnerable?
They can be sexual prey.
Mm-hmm.
And, the sexual function is much more complicated. And
Right.
they're just more vulnerable, so that's
Right.
frightening.
Well, it does seem that, one of the challenges of young people with autism, they don't know who to trust and who not to trust, right?
That's right. That's right.
So they can be vulnerable or taken advantage of. Right?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
And so there's just a lot of problems there.
Right. Now in both of the movies, I felt that there were very strong women characters, right? Particularly in terms of the relationship between the mother and the child.
Yeah.
And also the relationship between the mother and the spouse.
Yeah. And the mother and the caregiver. And
Right.
Well, now, obviously, I'm a mother, so
Uh-huh.
I'm going to, be
Uh-huh.
anchored. I'm going to anchor my story in the character that I identify with the most, because that's the most truth that I could bring to it. And also, let's face it, when you have a disabled child,
Right.
most of it falls to the mother. Which is not to say that there aren't dedicated and involved fathers. There are, but it usually falls to the mom. And I think a lot of moms in the community, myself included, end up making a tremendous amount of sacrifice
Right.
In order to care for our children. And I stopped doing everything professionally for 12 years. I really left my career. Now, granted, I had the privilege to do that because my child's father was very successful, so I had the privilege to be able to devote myself entirely to my son's needs. And I don't begrudge that for a minute, so I'm glad and grateful that I had the opportunity, but it was also a cost to my own sanity and self-esteem.
So I see that the mother in Jack of the Red Hearts, talks about the idea that she's devoted her life to caring for this child, who's very challenging in many different ways, and that, in a sense, the husband goes off, he works in IT, he's sort of connected with the world, and she's dealing with this on a full-time basis.
Right, right. And in the story of Jack of the Red Hearts, this is a moment when, for the first time in 10 years, the family has brought a caretaker into the home, so that the mother can go back to work. And this is as much because they have a tremendous financial burden, as so many of our community does. They're over $150,000 in debt, just pouring all of their resources into treatments for their child.
Right.
And they have a son who's about to go off to college, and she has to go back to work.
Right.
But she also is at, a breaking point. And in Flyaway, it's very much a moment where the mother is at a complete collapse and breaking point.
Right.
In that case, that marriage has collapsed. In Jack the Red Hearts, the marriage is strong, but it's under tremendous strain. In Jack the Red Hearts, the marriage has collapsed. And the single mother is completely overwhelmed and fraught. And in Flyaway, the daughter is 14, 15, so her sexual awakening is very much in view, creating a whole other set of problems. In Jack the Red Hearts, the girl is younger, she's 11, but that's just down the road. So, so there's a looming future of what will sustain my child into adulthood, and myself into adulthood is the question at hand. And in both cases, the mothers are finally either are forced to understand or eager to accept help.
Mm-hmm.
That in both cases they are reaching out saying, I need help. I can't go this alone anymore. I'm as far as I can down the road, shouldering most of this burden, especially as their needs are changing. Both of them are, you know, either about to enter adolescence or in it.
Right.
And that's a, you know, here's the thing. One of my friends who has a child on the spectrum said poignantly, when your child is diagnosed with autism, you stop dreaming about the future, you start dreading the future. And I think both of these films are taking that on in a rather candid way.
And in a powerful and sort of emotional way, I would say, as well.
Mandy, it's Mom. I hate myself. Mandy, breathe. I hate myself. 1 in, 2 out. Mandy, breathe. 1 in, 2 out. Good. 1, 2. Good. Ladybug, ladybug, fly away home. Your house is on fire, and your children will roam. Ladybug, ladybug, fly away home. Your house is on fire, and your children will roam. Good.
Mommy! Tutti Fruities.
Oh, no. No.
No!
Mandy,
No!
Look, what's that? Is that a bear with a hat? That's funny, a bear with a hat. Is everything okay? What? Pete, slow down.
Okay. You cut this shit right now if you know what's good for you. You hear me? Let go. Let go. Enough.
Pete!
Enough.
Pete! Let go! Pete, let go! Let go! Let me. Man, Mommy's here.
Do you know what she did? Do you know what she did to me?
Breathe. 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 Mandy, breathe. Mandy, breathe. In 1, out 2. In 1, out 2. Breathe in, out. Good. Ladybug, ladybug, fly away home.
The freak show's over. You satisfied? Done. Go on.
Pretty girl is like a melody that haunts me night and day. A pretty girl.
See what she did?
Like a melody.
She bit me.
Oh, God. Mandy, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Mandy, you have to apologize to Daddy. Say you're sorry.
Say you're sorry.
Great. What the fuck does it matter if she apologizes or not?
Peter.
I mean, who knows what anything means in that retarded head of hers?
Come on, you don't mean that.
Are you even interested to know what happened? What kind of shit she pulled, or are you just gonna coddle her and forget about it?
Of course not. Please, tell me.
She was at the swings, And I tell her to get off, you know, let another kid have a chance. But she held on, Gene. She held on. And
Did you give her her pill, her second dose?
She did this, not me.
I know.
Oh, I just wanted to spend one afternoon in the park with my little girl. Can I even get that?
You know, there is a park for disabled children over on Cloverfield. You could have taken her there.
For fuck's sake. You're determined to make this about me.
No, I am determined to make this not about you. It is about Mandy.
Oh.
You bring her here to a situation she can't handle. She is gonna melt down.
And we're supposed to fall to our knees and accommodate whatever shit she pulls?
I'm not saying that.
You know, if you just stop being so fucking stubborn and consider Warrington Hall, even for a minute.
Just because you can't handle her doesn't mean my daughter belongs in an institution.
Maybe it could help, Jean. You ever think of that?
Help? Really? Who? Her? Or you?
What? You want to play the martyr? Be my guest. But that's your choice. Your choice, not mine.
Boeing 747 carries 524 passengers.
Wow. That's a lot of people. Good job, Bug. You stayed in school all day. You're gonna get 3 stars just for that.
Ice cream, ice cream. Ice cream, 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 ice cream,
dinner.
ice cream, ice cream. How
Dinner
about that?
first, then dessert.
Stay all day at school,
Mandy.
buy an ice cream.
Mandy,
Stay all day at
use your
school, buy
strategies.
an ice cream. Stay all
Mandy,
day
calm
at school,
down.
I'll buy an ice cream. Stay all day
Mandy,
at school, I'll buy an
Mandy,
ice cream. Stay all day at
Mandy.
school, I'll buy an ice cream.
Okay, young lady, you need to...
Sorry.
Mommy's sorry too, honey. Mommy's sorry too. Come on, sweetheart. Come on, come on. You want lammy lamb? Here goes. Oh, come here.
Chocolate! 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 Chocolate!
Yes, honey, you're getting chocolate, and I'll have coconut.
No! Chocolate! Chocolate! Chocolate!
Honey,
Chocolate!
you can have chocolate,
No.
and Mommy has coconut.
No! Chocolate! Chocolate!
Amanda,
Chocolate!
this
Chocolate!
is your body, and this is Mommy's body.
No!
Okay?
Really, Miss? If you can't control her, you shouldn't bring her out in public.
Really?
Oh, really?
Thinking about chocolate.
How much do I owe you?
It's on me.
Amanda, not so fast. One lick at a time. Watch Mommy. Amanda! Oh, yeah? Well, you know what? Chocolate face runs in the family. Hey, chocolate face. Hey, chocolate face. Wait for me.
In particular, I was struck in Flyaway that it was a depressing and upsetting kind of a scenario, right?
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it's unflinching. And yet there is a, not a happy ending, but it's an optimistic ending. That she does find the help that she needs. The daughter will get the help that she requires. Both of the characters will move forward in a positive way. So, but it is it's asking the audience to really have an open-eyed view of what this problem is.
Now, I was also struck by the tension that arises in the relationships as well.
Oh yes.
Between the mother and the father, and
yeah, in both films.
Right. So, I mean, it is well known that in autism, the caregiver burden or the stress on the family is probably higher than just about any other condition, really. I mean, partly because it begins at such an early age, and because any of the behaviors that are manifest can be, highly disturbing, really.
Yeah.
And the idea that it's chronic, sort of long-lasting, and that affects issues both in terms of connecting to the individual, but also in terms of causing crises, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
And I do think that both of the films really capture some of the stress, I think, that occurs within a family. So I understand that the rates of divorce, for example, are very high in families with autistic child.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because a doctor that I worked with years ago said that, curiously, the divorce rate in her practice was lower than statistically, but not because the marriages were functioning, but because the family was so overwhelmed they couldn't bring themselves to the point where they could wrap their brains around a divorce. That there was so much, they were so busy putting out the fire in the house they couldn't even think about whether the house could stand, Right. And I think that, unfortunately, that's been my observation and certainly my experience, is that it's not that even if the families are intact, that they're functioning well, they're you're just holding it together to get through the day. That it is enormously stressful and there's a burden on everyone. And a lot of times that one looks to the child to bring a positive reinforcement of the bond, that somehow together the husband and wife have created something that's positive and healthy and will move forward. And when you have a disabled child, that's the opposite. You're being mirrored in a very negative way, not just personally, but the bond that together you've made something that's troubled. And that's very hard, even if it's never voiced, it's felt. And I think that there's also, because the problem with autism, one of the many problems with autism, is that we don't know what causes it, which means that there's a wide open field for blame. You gave him vaccines when I said don't. You had a job where you were in a highly toxic environment. You have the weird uncle. I don't. Right. So I think that in other diagnoses, it's more clear how you got there. So there isn't that much resentment and that can sort of fester. And the other thing that I felt also, and I felt this keenly, is that in my case, because my own child is, and thank God for it, mildly impacted, it was unclear for a very long time what the parameters and contours of his disability were going to be. So it's the old slogan, you know, the serenity prayer, accept the things you cannot change, change the things
Right.
you can, the wisdom to know the difference. You don't know what to accept. That there's huge onus, you know, when their child is diagnosed, the meter's running, the clock is ticking, you've got just so many years to change your child's life.
Right.
And what are you going to do? Pay attention to your needs and feelings and anguish and angst and fears, or improve your child's life? It's not even a choice. So you just jump in and do everything that you can to take care of your kid at great expense to whatever feelings you're having.
Right.
And without knowing what the outcome should be. So you never know if you've done enough. You're constantly second guessing.
Right.
Now at a certain point, you know, my own son is 21, so we know what he looks like now. We know who he's not going to be. But for many years we didn't.
Right.
And so there's this tremendous anxiety that you're not doing the right things or enough things. Now, I often felt, had my child, for example, been diagnosed with Down syndrome, I would have been able to accept more sooner.
Right. Well, it seems to me that one of the challenges, I guess, is that there's not really one type of autism. I mean, there are many different presentations, and there's not one trajectory or course. There are many, many different you know, developmental trajectories. So that makes it harder to attribute the cause to a particular cause, or to have a clear understanding of what's going to be happening in the future as well, right?
That's right, or knowing which course of treatment or what course of therapy is going to work. I mean, we actually show that in Jack of the Red Hearts. There's a moment where our mother is, you know, meets up with another parent whose son is now mainstreamed, and she's like, she did nothing, and that kid's better, and I'm doing everything, and my kid isn't, you know, it's the frustration
Yeah, I
of what's
found
going
that
on.
Particularly poignant, because here's a mother who had sacrificed everything, talked about spending $150,000 a year on applied behavioral analysis, putting her life on hold, and here's another mother whose child is being mainstreamed, right, and out of nowhere,
right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Now, one of the hopes that we have in the community is that the brilliant researchers are going to be identifying different sort of underlying etiologies and be able to say, you know, Group A, Group B, Group C. Group A does these therapies and not those. Group B does gluten-free diet. Group C doesn't have to worry about that, and that it'll be more clear what routes to take, what paths to take. So
although I can understand the frustration, you know, among families and among the community. Well, so here's a problem. We'll just figure out what the gene is. We'll figure out what the drug is, and we'll cure it. But things have been a little bit more challenging, right?
A lot more challenging. It's really like the more you look, the more you see, the less you can, the more you know, the less you know, because it's so complex and it's so heterogeneous. And
and I do think that many parents have the sense that the clock is ticking, right? There's a period of time where you want to get early intervention to change the, you know, the developmental trajectory, and so you really have to throw yourself into it.
That's right. And then the other sort of crisis that our community is, which both of these movies address, is what happens after age 10, what happens after age 15, what happens after age 20. And the great crest of the wave of this increase in diagnoses, of which my son was a part, you know, they're now hitting 2021. And all of the emphasis has been on early intervention. The school system, the state funding sort of drops off at age 20, 21. Now what? And again, these are lifelong disabilities. They need lifelong services. Where are they? They don't exist.
It does seem to me that the challenges that occur are different at different stages, right? And so now there's a big understanding of the unmet need as children age out of their school programs, right? What next? And what are the special challenges in that population?
That's right, which Flyaway mentions but doesn't dwell on, because the point of Flyaway is that they finally get her into a school, a boarding school that's going to take care of her until she's about 21 and give her an opportunity to become as independent as possible, which the child is expressing a lot of need for as well. You know, in Jack of the Red Hearts, it's also they're getting her into the right school, but it's in both cases the families are looking to larger society to have some solutions. I suppose I've got another movie that I've got to make. Which is
What's that going to be?
Well, it's going to have, oh my God. I guess we're going to have to talk about what happens when there's no more schools.
Uh-huh.
I'm right there now, personally, so we'll see.
Uh-huh. Well, that's what I think is so fascinating about both of the movies that you've made, is that they, you know, they deal with real life challenging situations. You know, they bring a sort of a personal perspective, but they have a narrative. They tell a story with regards to a particular individual. Mm-hmm. And it does seem that the portrayal of both the individual and the family seems very real.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was also, I'm extremely proud of the performances of both young women who are not autistic. They are neurotypical young actresses who I think brilliantly found their way from the inside out.
Right. Now, how did they get familiar with clinical diagnosis? How were they able to perform like that?
To achieve that.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, they are uniquely talented. So, you know, let's get that out there. These are extraordinarily gifted young women. And secondly...
Tell me a little about the two actresses.
Well, okay, so in Fly Away, Ashley Rickards, who plays the 14-year-old with autism, is the star of an MTV comedy called Awkward.
Oh, okay.
And you know, she's a glamorous on the red carpet, very charming. And Taylor Richardson, who plays the 11-year-old in Jack of the Red Hearts, played Annie on Broadway. So these are professional actresses, and they auditioned for the role. And in the case of both of them, I was just, you know, enormously impressed with their availability, their emotional availability, and their dexterity just as actresses. And then we worked together in both cases. I gave them some documentaries to watch, including one that I had helped to produce called Autism the Musical. That was a documentary. It was on HBO in 2008. In which we follow a group of families with children on the spectrum. And I told them, don't watch any narrative fiction films. I don't want you imitating somebody else's externalized performance. Go to the source, look at docs of actual people on the spectrum, visit schools, etc. And then I talked a lot about what I've come to understand, both from my son, how he's described his experience, how I've lived with it, and what I've come to understand about the research, and sort of neurologically what's going on, the way that people on the spectrum are flooded. They're overwhelmed with information that they can't unbundle and unjumble. And so in the cases of both of them, I asked them to think about quirks in their own nervous systems. I mean, we all have them. So, for example, if I were to play somebody with autism, I get migraines. So I would imagine, what does it feel like with a migraine? Well, you know, sounds are louder, you feel kind of irritable, smells, tastes. I would imagine that that was my baseline and have sort of remember that, get into that, as we say in the biz sense, memory, and then load it up and respond intensely and overwhelmingly from there. And before you know it, you're kind of moving kind of like this, you know? And I never directed them to do any particular behaviors in a kind of imitative way, you know, none of that, but they organically came to external expression that actually match what people with autism do.
Right.
And it helped. It helped just to say that it helped
Okay.
me to even better understand my own son. As to why did he have certain behaviors? Why did he have certain repetitive behaviors? How self-soothing it was.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, we all experience discomfort, right? So we all have a sense of that. And we all have challenges sometimes in regulating our emotions as well.
That's right. Absolutely.
So we come to it from that standpoint. Yeah.
That's right. And in Jack of the Red Hearts, I had an opportunity to visualize what the world looked like through the eyes of the young girl. And there I took my cues from things that my son told me. That when he was younger and was less neurologically well organized, things looked different to him. And he told me about that. He said how things looked darker, and I interpret that to mean that there was like too much information in the field. It was kind of crowded. If you can't prioritize the information neurologically, it's all going to come at you. And it will seem darker because you can't get foreground from background. I think that's one of the reasons that people on the spectrum look at details. They can't look at big picture. And so we tried to replicate that and the fascination of light, sort of the intensity of color, just heightening everything, intensity of sound. So we're able to bring that as well in order to help audiences to enter what that experience might be. And also how soothing it is. That, you know, when my son, even now, will sort of disconnect into his own self-generated thought, we can all relate to that, of, you know, zoning out, feels good, especially if what's going on out here is intrusive, hard to navigate, difficult to understand.
Now, your son, I guess, is blessed in that he has verbal skills, right?
Oh,
so he can tell you what's going on and what he's thinking about.
Yep.
And you can use those sort of you can get to him verbally in terms of dealing with a lot of the challenges that he has as well, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything that's sort of challenging then in terms of dealing with someone who has verbal skills that may not be as challenging in terms of dealing with someone without verbal skills?
Yeah, absolutely. The problem that I found with my son is that he's been well aware that he's different. And he actually entered a kind of an existential crisis in 7th grade, that he had been mainstreamed. I mean, I actually think that mainstream is very controversial. And in the community, it's politically correct to mainstream, well, you know, who is that really serving? Because the kids who are high enough functioning to be able to access what a typical environment offers are also the ones who can recognize the discrepancy between them and the peers they're identifying with. And those who can't perhaps shouldn't be in that environment to begin with. So it's a tricky business. So what happened for my son is that he'd been mainstreamed and with a lot of supports, and he, you know, was well aware that he couldn't keep up. And that the kids who in kindergarten were his friends were less and less interested in him. Nobody was mean. Nobody was bullying him. They were just less interested. And who can expect a 7-year-old boy, if given the choice between a peer who can keep up or one who can't? Why would you expect that they'd choose the one who can't? Not fair of them. So my son had a crisis of self-esteem, and he's been recovering from it ever since. Quite frankly, he's not quite there yet. You know how because he is, you know, I kind of think of him as my little hybrid vehicle. You know, he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That he, first of all, is less impacted. He's had every kind of intervention that there's been, and more as they come down the pike, you know. Again, we've been very fortunate to have the resources to avail ourselves of all of these opportunities, so that neurologically he's definitely improved. I absolutely am sure that we've made more synaptic connections. You know, we've rectified some of the disorganization in his brain, but not all of it. So he wants to be part of the larger society in big ways. He's got big dreams and big ambitions. He wants to have a big life, and yet it's going to be limited. And you know, some part of him knows that, and I'm not looking forward to, as he comes to reconcile, or rather when he is going to be forced to reconcile, that he can't achieve all he wants to. I think we've got another big crisis down the road.
Well, it does seem that those are some unique challenges then for somebody who has high intelligence and good verbal skills, that they're more aware of the differences. They compare themselves more to others.
That's right.
That it can certainly affect their self-esteem and their anxiety level. And that, yeah, as you say, they can have big ambitions, they want a lot, right? And then the strengths and the weaknesses are what make it so complicated.
Yeah, it's what all of us, that's sort of the process of becoming an integrated adult, is all of us having to, you know who we're not, as and accept who we are, and and it's like all of those challenges and problems come at you like a brick wall you're crashing into when you've got any kind of disability. So
people have said that, you know, what's special about autism is if you really understand, you know, what drives autism, then you really understand what it means to be human.
Really?
Well,
I haven't heard that, but I
yeah,
love
I
that.
think that's. So then the question, I guess, that I have for you is, so you know, having these personal experiences in terms of dealing with a, you know, a bright, good-looking, verbal son who's dealt with some of these challenges, and where there's been you know, lots of ambition, but then difficulties as well. So how has that sort of impacted your view of life, and how's it changed you?
Wow, that's a great question. So I'm going to answer this in a roundabout way. When I started to enter this world and met all these amazing service providers, people who had dedicated their lives to helping sort of the least amongst us, I was humbled because they volunteered, I was drafted. And I looked at people who, you know, dedicated years of education, have a lot of choices they could have made, but instead they wanted to work with a very challenging group of families. Not just kids, but the parents too, you know. And I've just continued to be so impressed and so moved and so grateful and so humbled by that. So first and foremost, you know, I kind of really hit the brakes on pursuing all of my own grand ambitions and having to kind of adjust and to reconcile with what my priorities were. That showing up and rising to the challenge of what my son needed versus what I needed, understanding that's what love is. That love is not some feeling or affect, it's what are you willing to do? What do you necessarily must compulsively do? It's not even a choice. And that's love. Love is, I love this person, this is what he or she needs, I'm there, without hesitation. And then you catch up with what that means. And you see it when it doesn't happen, too. You know, I unfortunately did see others not doing that. And, you know, a lot of it becomes very clear about what the priorities are, what love really is, what unconditional love is, what parenting really is. It's not about how the child mirrors who you want to be or what your ambitions are. It's who they are, and accepting them not because you have some fantasy of the genius autistic savant, but because you love your child, because you love your child. This is the deal. And to find as much, you know, reward and satisfaction and joy in the small accomplishments. That in a certain way it made me appreciate a lot more. You know, when my son finally did, you know, advance a tiny bit in an area, it's a tremendous boon. You know, it's maybe more precious than getting a PhD, you know, that it meant so much when he was able to finally make a friend. You know, have a play date independently without me there to guide and instruct him. I remember when he was 4 and I watched him and another little boy for about 20 minutes just running up and down the hall playing pirates, and my heart was going to burst because I had spent, you know,
Well, I could see that as both an accomplishment for your son, but also a sense of accomplishment for yourself.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, yeah.
So what remains to be said? I mean, so with regards to the 2 movies that you've made, I mean, how would you kind of sum up sort of the narrative or what you were hoping to say? And then for your next movie, what remains to be said?
Well, for these films to, as I said, share our experience from the inside out so that people can really sort of go inside of what it means to live with and love a child with these range of challenges. I deeply believe that the function of storytelling is to explore what makes us human, what it means to be human, to further humanize ourselves. And the more that we can understand the other, the exotic other, as another person, the better off we are in every way. I mean, I firmly believe that. In any kind of story. Those are the kind of stories that I'm attracted to, as somebody who consumes them as well as somebody who makes them. And so to share the humanity of everyone in our community, from the kids and the parents, etc. So that was first and foremost, and my hope is that people outside of the community will watch it. I mean, it's great for those of us who are inside of it to see our stories reinforced, but I'd love for people who don't know what it's like to understand by watching it. So, you know, there's just stories about love, ultimately. You know, whether they're about autism or not, they're about love. And I think that's what the story I'd like to share. And moving forward, I'd actually like to tell a story, make a movie that doesn't deal with autism. And then maybe down the road I'll find another one that has to do with reconciling the limitation as an adult. I think that would be a good story, but I think I need to be further down the road with that experience before I can dramatize it.
Okay. Well, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you today. So again, my name is Dr. Eric Hollander, and this is the Spectrum Neuroscience Research Institute. And I'm pleased to be speaking with Janet Grillo, and she's the filmmaker of Fly Away and Jack of the Red Hearts, and is also with NYU Tisch School of the Arts and filmmaking as well. So
I'd like to say how people can see these movies, in case they're interested.
Okay, great, sure.
Yeah, so Fly Away, you can stream it on iTunes or Amazon. Jack of the Red Hearts is about to premiere at the beginning of May at the Bentonville Film Festival, which has been founded by the actress Gina Davis to promote the work of women. And we hope that it will be available in distribution in the summer and fall of 2015. So you can keep an eye out for that one. And that stars Famke Johnson as the mother and Anna Sophia Robb as the caregiver, and Taylor Richardson as the young girl. But Fly Away you can see right now.
Okay, terrific. Thanks very much.
Thanks.